All right, guys, it's Suhel with Sun City Running. We're here with Mireyda Samper, senior out of Franklin High School. She just signed with Southeastern Oklahoma State University, Division II. Great school for women's running, especially. But take us through it. Did you have other schools that you were kind of interested in or were interested in you throughout this whole process?
Definitely I did. The funny thing about this one, about Southeastern, is that it came really last minute. Other schools, like I had some NAIA schools contact me since cross country season,
Mhm.
and this one, what's funny is Coach Heald. She saw Coach Omer, I believe, at the it was either regionals or area meet, and she asked if he recommended any students and he or athletes, and he recommended me. And a few days later, this was at the regionals track meet. And a few days later, she got in contact with me, and that's when we started talking. She started telling me about my program, and she's such an amazing outgoing coach. So that I was open to anything at that moment, even though it was so last minute. So I jumped at the chance right away.
If you don't mind divulging some of the conversation, with Coach Hield, what were some of the things that you felt were good selling points to kind of say that, okay, Southeastern Oklahoma here is the fit for you?
Definitely. What really caught my attention was that there is no boys cross country team.
Right.
And that was one of the main things Coach Hield had told me about. Like, since there's no boys team, that means all the girls get all the attention, which is really what I look into a program. Of course, like high school, it's always so like such a big team. And what I wanted to look for in a college program was being able to have a coach that really sees you and more like have more a one-on-one time with the coach. That was one of the things that I liked. Um, Coach Hield also told me about their workouts, and it wasn't much different from what we've been doing.
Hmm.
Of course, probably more mileage, and of course the girls are faster, so it'll be faster paces. But that really caught my attention because it's something I'm comfortable with. So hopefully the transition from now to Southeastern won't be much different from what I'm used to.
Awesome, awesome. And if I'm not mistaken, their women's cross country team ranked 19th at the end of the year last year for the NCAA. I think it was, yeah, last year it was in the Central region. Um, was that something you were aware of or something
Not
that she
exactly.
mentioned?
No.
Well, that's certainly got to be a good selling point. And now that you know about it, I'm sure you're thrilled to know that you're going to be in good hands there. Um, but we'll kind of forward shift a little bit, and talk about your running career there at Franklin. One of the things that I always like to note, you finished up your senior year with a 5K time of, right under 20 minutes, there at the South Lake Cross Country Invitational. And I was looking at your freshman year and your low 26s. Um, what would you say? What can you tell us about that type of progression from year one to year four? And do you feel like it seemed like a seamless transition for you to kind of earn your way to that type of time, or do you feel like it was a real big challenge for you?
I'd say it was a real big challenge. What really came my way was a lot of injuries, but since freshman year until now, I've always dealt with injuries, but it's what changed is the way I dealt with them. Freshman year, of course, I'm young. I didn't really know how to take care of them. And the difference now is just strength training, making sure I listen to my body. That's what
Hmm.
really helped me transition to have faster times. Um, and just my mentality then I've seen a lot of runners, they always come in freshman year not knowing what they're getting themselves into, and once they grow until sophomore, junior, and senior year, like for me example, that's when I really saw what I wanted to how far I wanted to get into running.
Okay.
I think it really clicked to me my the end of my sophomore year that I wanted to be on varsity and I wanted to really start running in the collegiate level.
You talk about wanting to your aspirations and wanting to make that varsity team. Was there any sense of pressure to immediately come out and try and make that girls team? Because Franklin, the Franklin varsity girls, they've been, ranked top in the state for, I want to say, at least the past 4 or 5 years where, you know, I remember when the shift happened, we had Eva Jest many years ago, and that's where I felt like the power shift really started growing there at that program. Uh, but going back to what I was saying, do you feel like there was a little bit of pressure to kind of get into this program, see all these great girls that have been coming out of there?
There is definitely pressure, but I took it. Most of the Franklin team takes it as like pressure and motivation to want to be in that big group with the fast girls. Um, I always looked up to them, and my goal was always to just stay with that group. And towards my junior year, I really started pushing that, and I really saw the big changes in my times, and my paces were way faster. So being able to have fast girls and of course that fast varsity group in the team really helps
Hmm.
you to jump into that next level.
Awesome, awesome. And you know, Franklin's really established themselves as one of the top marquee programs for I obviously on the sprinting side, when we're talking about track, but specifically the distance side, the girls have been strong for many amount of years now. What do you say is the biggest strength about the Franklin program, and how do you feel like it benefited you specifically?
Definitely running together as a group, like us having our environment of trying to push each other. It's never just one person by themselves. We're always together as a group. In workouts, we always run in a pack, whether it's on a trail or on the track. We like running together so we can push each other. So we never just see one person succeed. It's always multiple. And that's definitely what's helped me get faster in my times and races.
That's awesome. And you talk about that cohesiveness from your girls team. What are some of the things that you feel like you were able to draw from? Because I believe you might have been a freshman when Alyssa Laspada was there, or sophomore, one of the two. And you got Emily Orr there too that are kind of like leading the charge for the team. What are some of the things that you or that they do that you kind of draw inspiration from, or what some of the things that they do to help you settle into being an asset to that team?
Um, like Emily Orr, she does all these big races, and I think that's awesome that she's on her team and she helps us. She's always in the first one in our workouts, finishing workouts, and she always finishes them strong. So she she pushes me and the other girls to want to be right behind her, want to be in those big races with her, near her to also help her in those races. But having girls like her really just motivates you because it shows you like she's on your team. You could also be right next to her, um, not just pushing her, but also having those times like her. So I say that really does help our team and myself to just motivate us to want to be where she is.
Awesome, awesome. And you guys had such a great tenure under Coach Laspada. I talked to him a whole lot while he was there with your program, and him and I got along real well. Uh, and then fast forward, a few years, and he exits there. I know you guys had him and Coach Holmer there for a year or two before he retired. Um, was that difficult to kind of go through that coaching change, even though I know that you guys are in great hands with you were in great hands with Coach Holmer. He's a good guy. Do you feel like that was kind of a tough thing dealing with that kind of shift?
It was a difficult transition, but I'd say only for the first couple meets, just because we got used to seeing this spot every day. I did since my freshman year. He was very welcoming, and he really helped me get to where I am now. But me and the team were able to get through that difficult time, and Omer really helped us. He made it easier, definitely. He was there for us. He showed up every single day, and I'd say the difficult part about it was just not having that extra voice at practice.
Right,
But
right.
it wasn't as bad because he Laspada still showed up for us whenever he could.
What would you say was some of the, you know, because when you have a head coach there, you talk to the assistant coaches, they're such a obvious integral part of, the coaching staff, and they handle a lot of things that the head coach can't. So there's obviously some familiarity there, but what do you feel like was some of the strong things that Coach Olmer did for you guys for your senior year you that kind of helped, like you said, ease that transition, and then from there taking over? What are some of the things that you could say that he really helped you girls with, and you specifically?
He definitely listened to us. So after every workout we had and every race, he always asked for our feedback. Um, like let's say it was paces for a workout, he would ask us if those were fine or too slow, too fast, and what he can do to coach us better. And after a race, he wouldn't give us any negative comments. He would ask us specifically, each individual, how we think we did, and he would ask us how we think he could coach us better to fix whatever mistakes we think we had. So that definitely helped as a coach, as an athlete. Seeing that as a coach, that really helps you because you tend to have more pressure when a coach tells you all these negative things, and Omar definitely doesn't do that. He always gives us positive messages, and he's always giving us motivation to do better and how he can do better for us.
How do you feel like that type of accountability that you were able to learn with that camaraderie that you and Coach Olmer had, how do you feel like that's really going to serve you well uh, moving up to the collegiate level?
It'll definitely help me communicate with coaches better. Um, like if I ever have a bad race, because of Omar, I won't be scared to talk about things I felt or how I think
Right.
things could be differently, whether with workouts or weight room, anything that comes to that. I think I'm more willing to be able to tell coach that because Omar would always has always asked us like what we can do differently and what he can do differently.
Right. And in a strange way, you guys were lucky to kind of be under two head coaches. Obviously, one was an assistant and became a head coach, but you guys got to kind of learn from two cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. What do you feel like is the biggest thing that you individually are going to be able to take from running there in Franklin to uh, there to benefit Southeastern Oklahoma?
Um, I'd say just being able to change in any environment, like you said, Omer was assistant, then he had to step up to the head coach. And like I said, it was a little difficult, but we got through it. And I believe I still had a good cross country season, like no matter the changes that happened. So any changes that'll happen at Southeastern, of course, just running with the team, moving somewhere else is already a big change. I think I'll be able to change with the environment pretty well.
Awesome. And you did have an incredible cross country season. I think your girls were at some big time meets, got some big experience. Um, and then moving into track, I felt like you had some great moments. Uh, you only had one outing and a half, which was a 2:33, which I still think is a solid time. A 5:37 in your 1600, I think was at the Parkland Invitational. Great time. Uh, and your 11:46 at Chandler in the 2 mile. Um, you had a very great track season for your senior year, but in your mind, what do you feel like was the key moment for you during your season that kind of impacted you in a way that where you felt like I always knew I wanted to be in college and run, but this is making me more confident that I can handle this. I can handle anything at a collegiate level.
Once we ended cross country season, I really got to see what I needed to do in order to run collegiately. Um, so I started pushing myself more. What really helped me is starting to run with Sophie Kaiser.
Right.
She had way faster times than me, and I didn't discourage myself, like telling myself I couldn't do it. And she really helped me too, pushing me at workouts every single day. She always told me stay right next to me, and that definitely helped me. But track, I mainly focused on trying to be able to commit to a school. I saw what I needed to do and where I needed to get, so that was my goal to try to hit those times. And that's what I did.
Well, I'd say you had again, you had an incredible season. And we'll end this with, it's always my most cliched question to ask. And, I tell every person, every answer is very similar, but also very different. But, you talk about learning from your mistakes, not quite mistakes, but, going through the process of learning how to deal with injuries, how to handle the mental baggage and the physical load. Um, what would your advice to freshman Mireyda be, and what would be your advice to any future Franklin girls that are going to be going through this program that want to run collegiately?
I would say to not let any obstacles get in your way. No matter what it is, you're always gonna get through it. It could be a week off, a few months off, but if you keep putting in the work, if you keep showing up every day, you're gonna see the results. It might take a few months, maybe even a few years, but it will be there. And when the time comes, you'll be able to run for your dream college or any college you want to. Just having the opportunity to run in college is such a big thing, and not everyone can do it. So just keep showing up, and you'll get where you want to be.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you again for sitting down for this interview. Again, I know I said this many times throughout the interview, but I did think that you had a real incredible cross country season, and surprisingly, you had an even better track season on top of that. So it was kind of like the cherry on the top. So congratulations again. I think Southeastern Oklahoma is getting a great athlete in you, and I look forward to keeping up and keeping an eye on some of the things that you do over there. So I have no doubt that you're going to do a great job over there. So congratulations again.
Thank you.